As Governor General of Canada, I have the solemn responsibility of being an honorary witness to the truth and reconciliation process, and so does my wife Sharon. At events at Rideau Hall and across Canada, we've heard survivors bravely share the devastating impacts that residential schools have had on their lives, families, and communities. And we've heard them speak of the betrayal of education that was residential schooling. But we've also heard something else from the survivors and Truth and Reconciliation commissioners. We've heard them say that education, learning, offers Indigenous people and communities the best hope of rebuilding and restoring themselves to their rightful place at the heart of our society. Our hope lies in engaging young Indigenous people in a constructive dialogue about learning and in showing an unwavering commitment to respect and inclusiveness. And when I say our hope, I mean hope not only for Indigenous communities, but for Canada and Canadians. We need to listen to what Indigenous and non-Indigenous young people have to say about education. We also need to recognize that every community is unique and that one size does not fit all when it comes to learning. We need to focus on excellent teaching and on language and culture, because students can't learn without knowing who they are and where they come from. Education has been a personal passion and a professional preoccupation of mine for 50 years. With a quality education, all Canadians, including Indigenous people, are more likely to enjoy a better quality of life. And if we are serious about fairness, equality, and simple human justice, we must work together to improve educational opportunities for all. I want to thank the Rideau Hall Foundation for having convened a diverse group of First Nation, Métis, and Inuit students from all provinces and territories in May 2016 to give them a space to share their experiences and find solutions. Let's now listen to what they had to say.
I think hearing the youth, their perspective and how they learn, I think it'll really shape the way, we do education in the future. So I think, if we're going to be teaching them, let's ask them, I think that's the important thing.
I really think that they should start teaching the cultures in high school, because as you grow older, the culture's dying down. In elementary school, you're taught a lot, and there should be more Inuit teachers who should be teaching Inuktitut, and not only English teachers, and yeah.
Kwe, Deluisi Gabalin Johnson, Medala Sabunai Jalasigum, Redel Ganamasi Ellison Bernard Memorial High School, Rad Leawi Eskisoni.
Today I realize the real value in our youth. They're the ones who are a thermometer of our communities. How our youth are is how our communities are in the adult world.
It's fun to be reminded that you're not the only Indigenous person, or Mi'kmaq people, that's my culture, doing what you're doing in your community. So it's cool to know that I'm not the only one trying to have a voice for Indigenous people. They're all here doing the same thing, so it's nice.
Educating about, with, by Indigenous people, from Indigenous perspectives. Indigenous knowledge is valid knowledge. I hear people talk about Indigenous students need Indigenous teachers. And I always say all students need Indigenous teachers.
You're basically going through this, and then you realize that there's no facilitate question 2, no facilitate question 3.
Conference has been absolutely amazing. I've made connections that I would have never thought I would have made, and learned about other cultures other than Métis. We've had Inuit other First Nations groups. Just absolutely extraordinary.
People are coming around closer and closer to her. So she starts getting out lower and lower. They're coming closer and closer to her.
So at Manitoulin Island, they came up with their declaration, which I find is so empowering and so honest, and I think it's so deserving and is a priority for our Chiefs Committee on Education.
We used a traditional consensus model to author a final declaration and recommendations that we believe will help improve education outcomes for all Indigenous youth.
Our recommendation was to deliver mandatory training on culture, knowledge, and history to all Canadian teachers before they go into the schools.
We realize, and everybody realizes, that First Nations have to be the creators of their own education programs. And if it's in Mohawk, if it's in Iroquois, if it's in Mi'kmaq, you have to have people involved in their own education systems in order for us to achieve success. Money is one part. Doing a process the proper way is the most crucial, important part.
The resources are going to have to come from governments. We're not talking about a small project here and there. This is systems change, and the systems are actually funded by governments. And Indigenous education has suffered from chronic underfunding, and in fact, the commitments we've made have not been fulfilled. When on-reserve schools are receiving on average 30% less funding than off-reserve schools, this is simply unacceptable in Canada.
I find it's very important to listen to Indigenous youth when it comes to education, because a lot of people believe that the problems we face as Indigenous people are no longer associated with youth in modern society, but it is affecting us. There's still stereotypes, there's still a misunderstanding and a lack of knowledge when it comes to our way of life. And I believe that listening to youth will create a connection between the elders and the youth and the entire Indigenous community, and that way we can balance and incorporate our learning methods with them and change the future.